Hi guys, I am Roronoa. This video is about what if Luffy was a Pokemon trainer part 2. Please subscribe, like and share Roronoa TV for more fanfiction crossover videos. It was a peaceful day on the way to Ash's next gym battle. So hungry, so tired, said Luffy. The two girls sighed. Luffy, can you please stop complaining about your stomach, said Nami. And the fact that you're tired, said Misty. But I'm hungry and tired, said Luffy. Misty and Nami looked at each and nodded. A few minutes later, now are you going to complain, said Misty holding a giant mallet. No Misty, said a very bruised up Luffy. Nami sighed as she put away her staff. Hey look, there's Mount Moon, said Ash, changing the subject quickly. They say a huge meteorite crashed there years ago, said Brock. Really, said Luffy. Luffy, what do you think a meteorite is, asked Nami. I don't know, but I'm sure it has to do with meat, said Luffy. Everyone anime fell. Meteorite is a rock from space that came down to Earth. The one that crashed there is called the Moonstone, said Brock. Oh, said Luffy, who was no longer interested. The group of pirates and Pokemon trainers continued their journey when a scream rang out. That doesn't sound good, said Ash. The group ran to where the scream came from and saw a man being attacked by blue-eyeless bats. What are those? Asked Ash, who took out his handy Pokédex. Zubat the bat Pokemon. Use ultrasonic waves to detect opponents, said Ash's Pokédex. Aren't you two going to do something? Asked Misty. You talking to us? Asked Luffy and Ash. Just use Pikachu's, said Misty with a sigh. Okay, said Luffy. Fine, said Ash. Pikachu, use your Thunder Shock, said both at the same time. The two Pikachus used the attack and all but one of the Zubat flew away. Brock caught the one that didn't escape while no one was looking. The man was in a lab coat. Hey, are you okay? Asked Luffy. Thank you, said the man. He hugged both Luffy and Ash extremely tightly. Unfortunately, both were holding their Pikachus at the time. The man squeezed both mice-like Pokemon, socking Ash and the man. Luffy was unaffected like usual. That had to hurt, said Zoro, looking at the fried Ash and man. When the man was somehow better, he began to do an overdramatic speech how he was grateful that he was. Everyone pretty much tuned him out as much they can. Did I say how grateful I am? Asked the Ma, holding Luffy and Ash's hands. Yeah, said Ash with a sweat drop. Who are you? Asked Luffy. Unfortunately, he started another overdramatic rhyming speech. The point is, his name is Seymour and he's a scientist. Misty went over to Luffy and whispered something to him. Please do, said Misty, but before she could finish the sentence that was, please don't ask any more questions, Luffy asked, why did those bat thingies attack you? Everyone but Seymour stared at him with a sweat drop. Well, I'll show you, said Seymour. He showed them that inside the cave someone had strung up lights. As you can see, it's make all the Pokemon act strangely. The Paras are planting their mushrooms everywhere and those lights are drying out the Sandshrew, said Seymour. So why do you think someone would string up lights? Asked Luffy. Seymour once again began an overdramatic speech how he theorizes that they're after the Moonstone, which has been proven to power up some Pokemon. He also told him his theory that all Pokemon came to Earth on the Moonstone, which was a spaceship. He received questionable looks from the group. Do people think that? Whispered Zoro. I have never met a person who ever thought before, whispered Misty. Seymour grabbed Luffy and Ash's hands again. I'm sure you two will be able to stop these hooligans from causing trouble, said Seymour. Okay, said Ash. Of course, said Luffy, giving his trademark smile. The other four sighed. Looks like Luffy guaranteed we're going to help, said Nami. A fluffy pink Pokemon came hopping past them carrying a rock. Cute, said Misty. Nami took out her Pokédex. Clefairy the fairy Pokemon. It's rare and only found in certain areas, said Nami's Pokédex. That looks interesting, said Ash, getting his Pokeball ready. No, don't, said Seymour, grabbing his arm. That Clefairy is doing something important. Look how it has that Moonstone. Let it complete its task. Fine, said Ash, knowing he was right. The Clefairy continued on its way. When it turned the corner, there was a scream. They ran towards it, screamed, and found a Meowth. The Pikachu went to comfort it. However, two figures appeared from behind Meowth. Prepare for trouble, and make it double. To protect the world, form deviation, to unite all peoples within our nation, you denounce the evils of truth and love. To extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse, James, Team Rocket, blasting off at the speed of light. Surrender now, or prepare to fight. Meowth. That's right. You again, said Ash. That's right, but this time we're after the Moonstone, said Jesse. We plan to use it to power up our Pokemon, said Meowth. Let's use our whole arsenal this time, said Jesse. Right, Go coughing. Paris, said James. Go Ekans. Sandshrew, said Jessie. It was indeed true, Jessie now had a Sandshrew and James had a Paris. You steal those too? Asked Misty. No, of course not, said James. Flashback: they were digging in the tunnel when Jessie accidentally hit a Sandshrew with a pickaxe. The Sandshrew began to attack her. She screamed in pain while James and Meowth did nothing. She finally a Pokeball and caught it. You have the pickaxe, said Jessie. Okay, said James, switch to later. James was digging when one of those Paris who was planting its mushrooms started planting it on him. Hey, stop it. Get this crazy thing of me, yelled James. After trying to get the mushroom of him, James managed to grab a Pokeball catch it. Just Paris got its mushrooms back. That was weird, said Jessie. End of flashbacks. If that keeps happening you'll have a full team, said Brock with a sweet drope, even though had no idea they're crooks, by their world's standards that is, it didn't matter that Nami was considered a crook by the other world's standards. Well anyways we're no letting that Pinky get away, said Jessie. Hey Nami, Misty, can you take care of the Clefairy and Seymour, said Ash. Why us? Asked Nami. Misty knew why. Ash thought her only Pokemon was Goldeen, and Nami became quick friends with Misty so it was a given. She told that to Nami who agreed. I've been wanting to try out Pokemon battles, said Zoro reading Scyther's Pokeball. Me too, grinned Luffy who only had Pikachu. Go Scyther, said Zoro. Go Butterfree, said Ash. Go Zubat, said Brock. Ash, Luffy and Zoro were surprised he had a Zubat. You had a Zubat? Asked Ash. I actually just caught it. You zapped them, said Brock sheepishly. This is the second time someone caught something behind my back, sighed Ash. Coughing used smog. The gas balls sent out toxic gases to the heroes. Scyther used Swords Dance, said Zoro. Scyther began to spin around very fast. Whoa Zoro, that's cool. How did you figure that out? Asked Ash who was impressed. Just something I picked up, said Zoro. Scyther's spinning caused Coughing's attack to head towards Jessie and James. Nami, Misty, Seymour and Clefairy took this chance to run. However they didn't notice Meowth following them. In the battle Ekans bit Butterfree, Paris scratched Scyther, so did Sandshrew to Luffy's Pikachu while Coughing tackled Zubat. But all four Pokemon shoot it off. Zubat used Supersonic, said Brock. Team Rocket's four Pokemon began to attack in melee. Hey stop it, yelled Jessie. Butterfree. Use Whirlwind, said Ash. Butterfree sent Jessie, James and their Pokemon flying away. Hey where was the cat guy, said Luffy noticing Meowth wasn't with them. Uh-oh, said Ash. Meanwhile Clefairy left the cave though a small hole. Misty, Nami and Seymour tired to follow it. Come back, we're only trying to help, said Misty. They saw Clefairy climbed a rocking hill and go over a natural bridge. Just when Nami, Misty and Seymour were climbing it Clefairy fell off, landing on Misty who was in front of Nami and Seymour. She crashed into Nami, somehow a lone empty Pokeball fall out of her backpack, both fell onto Seymour and landing in the river below. Is everyone alright? Asked Misty. I'm fine, but I think I dropped a Pokeball, I'll get it later, said Nami. I'm fine too, said Seymour. Meowth showed up, now you better be handing me that Moonstone or else, said Meowth. Now wait, said Misty. She pulled out a Pokeball and called out the Pokemon inside. Out came not Goldeen but a Staryu, a starfish-like Pokemon, and it's a water Pokemon that can go on land. Staryu use Swift, said Misty. Gold stars came form Staryu and hit Meowth head on. Ow, 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 said Meowth. No use water, said Misty. A stream of water was shot from the top of Staryu and hit Meowth square in the mouth. Meowth began taking on water like balloon, and when he was about to burst all the water shot thought his mouth and went flying away. Misty returned Staryu as Clefairy gave a sigh of relief. Wow Misty, you're pretty good, said Nami. I am, just don't tell Ash I'm this good, said Misty with a wink. All was well until the Pokeball Nami dropped fell off the hill, hit Clefairy and accidentally caught Clefairy. Everyone was surprised and sweet-droped. Nami's mouth was wide open when this happened, that when the guys showed up. What happened? Asked Ash looking at their faces. I accidentally caught Clefairy, said Nami with a sweat drop. Ash looked like he was about to cry. Why is everyone catching things behind my back? He cried. It was an accident, yelled Nami. Later at sunset Clefairy was out of its Pokeball. They decided to wait to see if it wanted to travel after finishing its task before releasing it. Brock was feeding everyone including the Scyther, Butterfree and Zubat. Brock was feeding Zubat something. What's that you're feeding it? Asked Luffy. Oh just Pokemon food I made, it's my own recipe that I have been working on for years, said Brock. Can I try? Asked Seymour. Sure, said Brock, handing it to him. Seymour ate a piece. It tastes good, said Seymour. Let me try, said Ash. He tried one and he tried not to barf. Can I try it? Asked Luffy next. Brock sweet-droped. He wouldn't have expected Luffy to try it after Ash did almost puked. Luffy ate it. It's very good, said Luffy. There's the proof. Luffy will eat anything, said Ash. I told you, said Zoro with a sweat drop. Scyther sighed at this. The Pikachus and Clefairy were talking when both Pikachus yelled and motioned the humans to follow them. Pikachus and Clefairy led them on a long chase to another cave. Inside the cave was the Moonstone. Whoa, said Ash. That's a rock, said Luffy. We told already you, Luffy, it's not meat, said Nami. Clefairy put the piece of the Moonstone with the large piece, all of them began to glow. Then many Clefairy appeared and began to dance around it. It's so cute, said Misty. Dozens of cute fluffy pink things, very creepy, muttered Zoro. Everyone looked at him with a sweat drop. The Pikachus were talking to Clefairy about something. What is it, Pikachu? Asked Luffy. It has something to with the Clefairy, said Ash, somehow understanding what his Pikachu was saying. They gather the Moonstone and do the Macarena, said Ash. Pikachu anime fell when Ash said the last thing. The Macarena. What's that? Asked Luffy. It's a dance craze from 10 years ago, said Seymour with a hint of regret in his voice. I saw it on I Love the 90s, said Ash. Ash's Pikachu did the charades sign for, sounds like, and Luffy's Pikachu lifted the Clefairy Nami accidentally caught to show what they lift, said Ash guessing. Pick up, said Luffy guessing. Raise? Asked Nami. Both Pikachus nodded. Sounds like raise, asked Ash. Raisins? Asked Luffy. The Clefairy like raisins? Asked Ash. The Pikachus looked at each other, nodded and slapped both their trainers for stupidly. Ow, said Ash. Why did they slap us? Asked Luffy. Misty sighed. The Pikachus were more bold than she was. Ash's Pikachu managed to grab a stand of hair when it slapped Ash. Pikachu showed them the strand of hair. Sounds like hair, asked Nami. Prayer? Asked Brock. Ash's Pikachu held up a sign with a circle on it while Luffy's a bell. So they pray to the Moonstone? Asked Ash. His Pikachu rang the bell while Luffy's Pikachu rang the bell some more. Where did Pikachu get that bell? Said Luffy. I have no idea, said Misty. Seymour began to do his overdramatic rhyming speeches again. The gist was that he believed the humans were going to space on the Moonstone with Pokemon, however who should arrive? Team Rocket. You are those troublemakers. Leave the Moonstone alone, yelled Seymour, who ran towards them. However, Meowth tripped him and he landed face first. His glasses fell. That was dirty, said Ash. You'll know dealing with saints here, said Jessie. Go Sandshrew. Ekans. Coughing, said James. Go Onyx, said Brock. Onyx came out in full force and both Pikachus went on top of it. Go Underground, said Jessie to both her Pokemon. Both dove Underground. Coughing use Smog, said James. Coughing once again used on its attacks, as everyone couldn't see. Team Rocket took the Moonstone and got away. Everyone discovered it when Ash called out Pidgeotto, which blew the attack away. They took it, yelled Luffy. Onyx follow them underground, said Brock. The giant snake-like Pokemon dove underground as the trainers and ran out of the cave. However, Seymour was still looking for his glasses. Meanwhile, Team Rocket was on a sled with most of their Pokemon still out and the Moonstone with them when Onyx surfaced and crashed. You're not getting away, yelled Ash. Time for you punishment, Gum Gum Pistol, yelled Luffy. He used a rubber punch to sock James in the face. What is WORNG with you? That's the second time you punched me, yelled James. Just then the Clefairy came out, the whole Onyx made to get there. Followed by Seymour. The cute fluffy pink Pokemon began to move their fingers back and forth. What are they doing? Asked Zoro. It's an attack called the metronome. I have no idea what it does, said Seymour. After about a minute the Clefairy stopped, then began to glow and then, boom. There was a huge explosion, Team Rocket's blasting off again. However, there was a downside, it blew up the Moonstone as well. Small fragments began to rain down, hitting a few Clefairy. When it hit them they evolved. Nami took out her Pokédex, Clefable, the fairy Pokemon. It will run and hide them moment it sees people, said the Pokédex. Somehow the Clefable were able to gather all the leftover shards and out them back to together. The Clefairy, joined by their evolved forms as well, began to dance around it. Even creepier, muttered Zoro. Everyone looked at him while sweat dropping. If you have to say something like that, keep it to yourself, said Nami. She felt something tug her skirt. She looked down and saw the Clefairy she accidentally caught. I think Clefairy wants to stay with you, said Seymour. Clefairy, said Clefairy nodding. Translation, that's right. Lucky, muttered Ash. Nami gave a small smile, and returned to the Pokeball that she accidentally caught it in. The left Mount Moon, Seymour chose to stay at the mountain with the Clefairy and Clefable to study them. Not too long after saying goodbye they came upon a fork in the road. There were two signs, one of them pointing to where they were headed, Cerulean City. When Misty saw it she flinched. Nami was the only one who noticed it. It looks like someone wrote something here, said Luffy pointing to the corner. Sometime kids scribble stuff there, said Ash. Hey, it mentions your name, said Luffy. Ash looked at it. It said, Gary was here. Ash is a loser. Ash got extremely angry. That was really an understatement. She ran to the city fast. Extremely fast, okay, said Zoro. What a moron, said Misty. Pika, sighed his Pikachu. After catching up to the angry 10-year-old who was blinded by rage from his rival and calming him down the only way they knew how, let's just say 2 yellow mice, a mallet and a staff. Ash was calm, bruised but calm. Ironically, Ash was calmer than Misty. You know, I think we should go another town, said Misty. Why? Asked Luffy. Because it's haunted, said Misty making a ghost face. There was an awkward silence as everyone sweet-droped, then Ash broke it by laughing. That's too funny, what are you 5? Asked Ash. Misty growled. The group began to head towards the city. Wait, said Misty getting front of the group. What is it now? And don't say that the town is infatuated with zombies, said Zoro. No, it's just I have another suggestion for a city and it has a gym too, Vermilion, it beautiful and there's a harbor and a zoo and the perfect place to watch the sunset, so how about it, said Misty. The place we're going to is, said Ash, is Cerulean. Misty sighed, time for the trump card, we are not going, because of your debt. Oz stopped and sweet-droped, what? I'm telling you because of your debt we can't go to Cerulean, said Misty. I may have debt, but this doesn't count for bringing up the debt, said Ash. He's right, I'm pretty sure you only agreed on him doing manual chores, said Luffy actually using his brain for once. That's right, this doesn't count as a manual chore, said Ash. Misty sweet-droped and sighed. It looked like she had to do something she didn't want to do. Nami, can I ask for a favor? What? Asked Nami. Later in town, Ash noticed that Misty was no longer with them. Where did she go? Asked Ash. Oh yeah, she told me to tell you that she'll meet back with us after we leave town, said Nami. Ash anime fell. I was hoping we finally got rid of her, he mumbled. What's that over there? Asked Luffy. There was a larger crowd of people, all 5 of them managed to squeeze though. Officer Jenny? Asked Ash, surprised to find the town's Officer Jenny. Who are you? She yelled. We met in Viridian City, said Luffy. Oh, you met my sister-in-law, now what are you doing here? Asked Officer Jenny. You must be the criminals who stole from here. Criminals, said Luffy. We're not criminals, lady, not in this world anyways, said Zoro. Yeah, none of have committed any crimes, said Ash. Nami began to whistle innocently, causing the others' members to sweat drop. What did you do? Whispered Zoro. Back in Pewter City I stole Flint's wallet, whimpered Nami. You stole my dad's wallet, said Brock nearly yelling. Oh, I can't stay mad at you, what are you talking about? Asked Officer Jenny. If you don't show any identification I can have you arrested. Oh right, said Ash. Ash, the pirates took out their Pokedexes and showed Officer Jenny, and I used to be the gym leader of Pewter City, said Broker taking out a badge. Oh sorry, said Officer Jenny. So what was taken here? Asked Luffy. A giant vacuum and a giant hose, said Officer Jenny. Later they were sitting in the park as the 2 Pikachus played together. While Ash tired to get Brock to give him advice about the gym leader, the pirates talked to each other about their situation. You stole someone's wallet? Asked Zoro. So what's the problem? Asked Nami. We're supposed to keep a low profile here, said Zoro. The guy turned out be Brock's dad, said Nami. Zoro sweet-droped. I thought we were going to talk about ways of getting back home, said Luffy with a sweat drop. I'll be seeing you guys later, said Brock. Huh? Asked Luffy. I have to run a few errands, good luck with your gym battle, said Brock walking away. Ash and the pirates managed to find the gym. It was building with a white Pokemon called Dugong on it. There was a huge crowd going there too. I wonder what's going on, said Luffy. I don't know, said Ash. All of them went into the gym, managed to find a huge arena, but it wasn't what they thought it was. Is this the gym? Asked Zoro. I'm unsure, it looks more like a water ballet, said Nami. It was true, there were 3 teenage girls, one blonde, one with blue hair and a red head. Let's go, said Ash. Wait, I want to see the show, said Luffy. Everyone anime fell. Later after the show they began to look around, they managed to find that it was an aquarium that's when they ran into the three girls who were performing. Maybe they know about the gym, said Nami. Excuse me, said Ash. What? Asked the blonde. I was wondering if this was a Cerulean City Gym, said Ash. It is, said the blue head. All right, said Ash, you see I came here to challenge the leader and I was wonder where I could find him. You're looking at them, said the redhead. Ash froze. What? He said. Oh my god. He's so hot, yelled the blonde. All three of them began to swarm Zoro, who had a look of, help me, on his face. I'm Daisy, said the blonde. I'm Violet, said the blue head. And I'm Lily, said the reed head. That's nice, said Zoro. Excuse me, what about my gym battle? Asked Ash. Oh sorry, said Daisy. Not too long later they were in the battle area, which was the pool. Sorry, we can't offer you a battle, said Daisy. What, why not? Asked Ash. Well, these three kids from no-name town called Pallet Town came and defeated all of our Pokemon, so we had to take them to the Pokemon Center, said Daisy. That means Gary's been here, growled Ash. The three pirates sweet-droped. Well anyways, said Violet. A white seal-like Pokemon came out the pool, on its tongue was a cascade badge. Daisy picked up. Here, this is what you want, right? Asked Daisy. Well, I guess, said Ash with a sigh. Hold right there. You forgot your other sister. Yelled a voice that made Ash cringe. The pirates knew the voice well. Misty was standing right behind them. Misty, what are you doing here? Said Ash. Oh hey sis, said Daisy. Your sister, yelled Ash, Luffy and Zoro in surprise. Well, I guess that Ash haven't heard about the 4 sensational sisters of Cerulean City, said Misty. Don't you mean 3 sensational sisters and the runt, said Lily. Misty got angry. Didn't you say you wouldn't come back until you were a better trainer? Asked Violet. Blame him, he destroyed my bike, said Misty. So is he our boyfriend? Asked Daisy. No, of course not. Like we'd ever date, yelled Misty. What about him? Asked Lily, pointing Zoro. Oh, that's just Zoro, said Misty. But she stopped in mid-sentence when she saw her sisters swarming around Zoro again. Hey. Are you going let me battle him or not? Yelled Misty. The 3 sisters looked at each other, while still holding onto Zoro. Well, Misty does have Pokemon, said Daisy. Okay, said Violet. Later they got the pool ready for the battle by putting in special platforms that floated on the water. Ash was angry, muttering angry things about gym leaders and bicycles. So Misty was a gym leader the whole time, said Luffy. She told me before we got into town, she has some family issues, said Nami. That makes sense, I think, said Luffy. Okay Ash, the rules are 2-on-2, said Misty. Okay, said Ash. Ash decided to send out Pikachu as his first Pokemon, but Pikachu refused to go of Ash's arm, so it held on for dear life. Come on Pikachu, said Ash. Pika, said Pikachu. Translation, no. Ash, if Pikachu doesn't want to fight, don't make it, said Misty. Fine, said Ash. Thank you Pikachu. You're a good pal, said Misty happily. Ash's eye twitched. He began to mutter more things about treacherous redheads. Pikachu sighed. And Ash had a chance with Pikachu, after all water conducts electricity. Said Luffy. Yeah, wait, said Nami, you know that too. How? I don't know, said Luffy. Nami was very surprised about this, and she was scared. She knew Zoro would have been scared too, but he was currently being asked questions from Misty's sisters. Are those swords real? Asked Daisy. Yeah, said Zoro with a sweat drop. With the battle, Misty let out her Staryu while Ash let out Butterfree. After using various moves involving powder, which Staryu countered by simply diving in the water, immediately washing it off, Staryu used tackle, knocking Butterfree into the water, winning that round. Ash returned his mutterings, this time adding Staryu to his angry mutterings. I think Ash lost it, said Nami. Pika, agreed Luffy's Pikachu while nodding. Misty withdrew Staryu and released another that looked like Staryu but purple with a second star behind it. What's that? Asked Luffy, taking out his Pokédex. Starmie, the mysterious Pokemon. Its central core glows with all 7 colors of the rainbow, said the Pokédex. That's cool, said Luffy. Ash let out Pidgeotto, who used Whirlwind, knocking Starmie into the nearby wall. Starmie wasn't doing too well, in fact was about to win when suddenly a giant vacuum and hose crashed through the wall. And guess who was on it? Prepare for trouble, and make it double. To protect the world, form deviation, to unite all peoples within our nation, you denounce the evils of truth and love. To extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse, James, Team Rocket, blasting off at the speed of light. Surrender now, or prepare to fight. Meowth. That's right. You guys again, yelled Ash. Hey, that's a giant vacuum and a gate hose, said Nami. What's the point? Asked Luffy. They stole that from that store, said Nami. Oh yeah, said Luffy, what are you doing here? What else stealing the gym's Pokemon, said Jessie. Let's show you how, said Meowth. Meowth flipped the switch that began to darn the water. Hey, yelled Ash as he and Misty got to the pool edge. You should stop right now, said Luffy. Oh yeah, how are you going to stop us, said Meowth. Don't egg him on, said James going into the fetal position, he might punch me in the face again. Luffy saw a switch on the vacuum, he stretched his arm, resulting in shocking Misty's sisters, and flipped it. However, it was not the switch to turn it off, it just switched from suck to blow, resulting in the vacuum spewing out water. Luffy, you're an idiot, said Misty, Nami and Zoro while keeping their heading above the water, while Luffy was unfortunately able to do so. We got lucky, said Jessie as Meowth switched it back to suction. The vacuum sucked up Seal and began to suck up both Pikachus. Ash, said Luffy getting up looking slightly weakened, water conducts electricity, right? Said Ash. Use your thunder shock, said both Ash and Luffy. The two Pikachus used the electric-based and which combined with the water-fired Team Rocket, they fell and were sucked up into the vacuum. However, despite using the vacuum to suck up the Pokemon, they didn't factor in a storage, so they were just sent out the other end of the vacuum and were blasted off again. Oz managed to jump onto the vacuum to reverse before both Pikachus were sucked in, both were thrown into the air where Nami caught Luffy's and Daisy managed to Ash's. Ash managed to figure out how to turn it off. Luffy, are you alright? Asked Nami. I'll be fine when I'm dried off, said Luffy. Oh yeah, said Violet. How did he stretch? Yelled all of Misty's sisters. After explaining Luffy's powers and its weakness, Misty's sister S gave Ash the badge. What's this for? Asked Ash. Well, since you and Luffy saved the gym and since you're after them, we thought it would have been a good reward, said Daisy. But wait, protested Misty. You know, if Ash used his Pikachu you wouldn't have stood a chance, said Violet. Misty began to mutter things angrily about her sisters and Ash. Later, as they were saying goodbye. Please let go, said Zoro, trying to get out of Misty's sister's clutches. Don't go, Zoro, said Lily. I have to, just let go, said Zoro. Zoro managed to pry away from the sisters. Well, Misty, you're still not as cute or good looking as us, said Lily. Misty scowled at Lily's remarks. But you're a great trainer now, said Violet. Hey, called Brock. I got my badge, said Ash, showing off his badge. That's great, said Brock, who turned around and saw Misty's sisters. It's so great to you girls again, he said, a loving tone. Hi Brock, said all three of Misty's in a dull tone. All three of them grabbed Zoro. Sorry, but we're more interested in Zoro right here, said Daisy. Let go, yelled Zoro. No, said Lily. After managing to pry Zoro away from Misty's sister, they left the city in search of the next gym. The group of Pokemon trainers and pirates were lost, though Luffy, Ash and Zoro claimed that they merely didn't know where they were. However, the girls of group said that that's the definition of lost. Boys are so stupid, said Misty as they sat down near a small pond. So true, said Nami, nodding in agreement. Hey, yelled Ash, Luffy and Zoro. Just then an Oddish showed up. It began to drink from the pond. What's that? Asked Ash. Luffy took out his trusty Pokédex. Oddish, the weed Pokemon, at night it wanders around sowing its seeds. Said the Pokédex. I'm going to catch it, said Ash. Let me, said Luffy. Why? Asked Ash. I haven't caught anything else yet, all I have it Pikachu, said Luffy. He has a point, said Brock. Okay, said a defeated Ash. All right, said Luffy, Pikachu. Luffy's Pikachu nodded and jumped into the center of thing. Use, said Luffy, what were Pikachu's attacks again? Had you not been from this world I would have hit you, said Misty with her eye twitching. Try Thundershock, said Brock. Oh, right, Thundershock, yelled Luffy. The white lighting hit the Oddish, which was sent flying. Now use, said Luffy, trying to think of the attack. Quick attack, said Brock. Right, quick attack, said Luffy. Luffy's Pikachu did so. Luffy knew it was a good time to use the Pokeball, that is until a Bulbasaur showed up and blocked it using Vine Whip. Oh man, muttered Luffy. You are aware that all this catching Pokemon is just a cover, right? Asked Zoro. I know, but this doesn't mean I can't have fun, right? Asked Luffy. Zoro's sweat dropped at the response. Ash decided that he should to catch the Bulbasaur, but he failed too and both Bulbasaur and Oddish escaped. And so both of them were slightly depressed as they walked towards their destination, they hoped. Do you even know where you are going? Asked Misty. Sure I do, said Ash. Then where? Asked Nami. Across the bridge, said Ash. There was an awkward silence, it got even awkward when the ropes on the bridge began to break. Uh-oh, said Luffy. That's when the bridge began to break apart. Everyone held on for dear life, everyone grab on, yelled Luffy. Ash did so while everyone had a dilemma, fall into the river below to have hang to Luffy while he does some sort of unpleasant crash landing. They decided to do the crash landing as they would probably survive in the end. But before Brock could grab onto the rubber man, he fell into the river. Brock, yelled Nami. Is everyone on? Asked Luffy. Everyone had managed to grab on. Gum Gum Rocket, shouted Luffy. All of them were launched into nearby trees. Come on, we have to get down, said Ash. And so they began to search the river for Brock, when they were suddenly pulled into a pitfall. Okay, what just happened? Asked Nami. Some sort of trap? Asked Misty. Let's just get out, said Nami. All of them got out of the trap, only for not too long later to be trapped within another trap, this time a net hanging from a tree. Zoro if you could, said Ash. Said Luffy. Everyone's sweat dropped as they saw, somehow, Zoro's swords fell off in the process. No one say anything, muttered Zoro. Can't you use Scyther? Asked Misty. That's when they noticed two pokeballs, more than likely Zoro's laying next to the swords. Zoro glared harshly at everyone else in the net, indicating that should they say anything they would more than likely die. And so they were stuck in the net. Do you think Brock is alright? Asked Misty. I hope so, he's the one carrying the maps, sighed Nami. Everyone's sweat dropped at this remark. That's when Bulbasaur showed up. It's that Bulbasaur again, said Ash. Hey, can you get us out of here? Asked Luffy. The Bulbasaur just gave the group a dirty look and walked off. After about an hour or so, still trapped in the net, and Zoro falling asleep. Brock was probably swept away in the currents, drifting endlessly, said Ash. I'm sure that he ended at a waterfall in a valley, marked with two giant statues, where a battle between two friends to the death is taking place. Ash, please stop reading that comic about the ninja, said Misty with a sweat drop. Yo, came a voice beneath them. They saw that Brock was stand there, healthy and safe. Where have been? Asked Nami. Well, you see, said Brock. Brock began the story of how a pretty girl named Melanie saved him from the river. She apparently had a village that took care of sick and injured Pokemon, which explained all of the traps. Okay, so you flirted with her, can you get us out of this net? Said Misty. Wait, said Brock, who looked down to see that Zoro's swords and Pokeballs somehow fell out of the net. How long have you been there? About an hour, answered Luffy. Brock's sweat dropped. You're not happy with me, are you? Asked Brock. What do you think? Asked Misty. And so Brock untied the net, let them all down. Ow, what happened? Muttered Zoro as he woke up, then noticed Brock. Oh, so you're alive. Everyone's sweat dropped at this remark. And so Brock decided to lead them to the village where Melanie took care of the Pokemon. So we're not allowed to catch any Pokemon? Asked Ash. That's right, said Brock. Ash sighed. They arrived to see Melanie, who was rather cute with blue hair, wearing a pink shirt and red overalls. So you must be Brock's friends, said Melanie. That's right, said Ash. It's nice to meet you, said Melanie. They all noticed the Pokemon. Luffy noticed the Oddish he tried to catch. Oh, hi there, said Luffy, bending down. The Oddish looked scared, then Luffy laughed and said, sorry about trying to catch you earlier, said Luffy. The Oddish blinked. That's when a vine whip hit Luffy on the head. Ow, he yelled. That's when he saw the Bulbasaur form earlier glaring at him. So I take it that Bulbasaur is one of the Pokemon healing here? Asked Misty. No, Bulbasaur is our protector, he guards all of the Pokemon, said Melanie. That's when all of them sweat dropped at Luffy being held back by Zoro. Apparently Luffy wanted to get into a fight. Pika, sighed Luffy's Pikachu. After getting Luffy to calm down, things were fine again, although Bulbasaur was glaring at Ash and Luffy. Oh, you want a fight? Asked Luffy. Nami took out her staff and hit Luffy, hard. Ow, what was that for? Asked Luffy. You can't into a fight with a Pokemon, yelled Nami, you got it. Yeah, said Luffy with fear in his voice. So is that normal? Asked Melanie with a sweat drop. You get used to it, sighed Misty. That's when a big shadow appeared. They saw a giant floating stadium was above them. Okay, what's that? Asked Luffy. That's when Team Rocket showed up. Prepare for trouble. Make it double. To protect the world from deviation. To untie all people in every one nation. To denounce the evils of truth and love. To extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse. James. Team Rocket. Blasting off at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepare to fight. Meowth. That's right. Everyone stared at the giant stadium. Okay, where did you get that? Asked Zoro. We found it. Said Meowth. You found a stadium, wouldn't that be stealing? Asked Misty. How would you even steal a stadium? Asked Luffy trying to think. Enough of this, yelled Jesse. Do you know how much trouble we got into getting here? Do you know how many traps we fell into? 20. Asked Luffy with a grin. Said James and Meowth. It doesn't matter how many we tripped. The only way was through the sky, yelled Jesse. That's when a wall opened on the stadium and the hose began to suck. Let's get everyone into the cabin, cried Melanie. However, that's when the Oddish was being sucked in. Luffy reached in and saved that Oddish, causing Melanie to faint in the process. Luffy, when this is over I'm going to hit you, yelled Nami. Luffy only laughed at this. This isn't funny, you have to be careful, yelled Nami glaring at Luffy. That's when Bulbasaur began to vine whip to bat around the hose. I have an idea, yelled Ash, who sent out Pidgeotto. Use Whirlwind. Pidgeotto used Whirlwind, which not only knocked away the hose but made the stadium fly away. Looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again. And so, sometime later Melanie woke up. What happened? I thought I saw Luffy stretch out his arm to save Oddish. Said Melanie. I think you were hallucinating from the lack of air, said Misty. Melanie blinked. She wasn't quite sure what it meant but shrugged. Then she noticed Luffy was beaten up. What happened to him? Asked Melanie. A tree fell on him, said Ash, trying to think of an excuse for Luffy looking so beaten up. Oh my, said Melanie. Ash isn't allowed make up excuses again, said Misty with a big sweat drop. Zoro, Brock and Nami nodded in agreement. Ash, I know you're the one who saved everyone, said Melanie. You do? How? Asked Ash. Just a feeling, said Melanie. Anyways, I would like you to take Bulbasaur. Wait, are you sure? Asked Ash. Yes, you see, with Bulbasaur protecting this village the Pokemon never want to leave and I want to release them back into the wild one day, said Melanie. Oh, then sure, said Ash. How does that sound, Bulbasaur? Asked Melanie. Bulbasaur nodded, then tackled Ash for some reason. What was that for? Yelled Ash. You think it means Bulbasaur wants to battle you, said Melanie. That's fine by me, said Ash. Bulbasaur and Ash began to battle with Ash unsung his Pikachu. Ash was the winner and managed to catch Bulbasaur. All right, yelled Ash, I caught Bulbasaur. All right, Ash, cheered Luffy. That's when Oddish began to rub up against Luffy and began to cry. What's wrong? Asked Luffy. I think Oddish want to join you, Luffy, said Melanie. Really? Asked Luffy. Oddish nodded. Do you want to fight? Asked Luffy. Oddish shook its head. No, I have a feeling you already battled it and won, said Melanie. Luffy laughed as he took out a Pokeball and caught Oddish. When it was time to leave, Brock said his goodbyes to Melanie. Well, it's time to say goodbye, said Brock. Then he noticed the stare he got from Misty. What is it? Asked Brock. So your gym leader my sisters told me about, I should known, muttered Misty. Brock could only sweat drop. And so they left the village, with Ash catching Bulbasaur and Luffy catching Oddish. Everything was okay, although the next day, Bulbasaur did try to start a fight with Luffy for some reason. They were lost again. What else was new? What was the saddest thing though was the one with the best sense of direction was denied use the map. Why? Because she wasn't from that world. It was extremely flimsy excuse, sure, especially since a map is a map. We're lost, said Nami. Oh come on, we just don't where we are, said Ash. Nami glared at him. I'm tired of that line, but we are, said Luffy. That was when Nami hit the both of them in the head. Why won't you just give me the map? I'm sure we can get out of here, said Nami, if you just hand me the map. No way, you're not from this world, said Ash. Nami hit him in the head. You're too violent, whined Ash. Nami glared at him, which caused him to slink away. That was when both Pikachu noticed something in the distance. It was on a tall rock. It was a red lizard-like Pokemon with a tail on fire. What's that? Asked Luffy. It's a Charmander, said Ash. Luffy took out his Pokédex. Charmander, the fire lizard Pokemon. If its tail goes out, it will die, said the Pokédex. It looks weak, said Zoro. That was when he was whacked in the head by Nami. I meant look its tail, shouted Zoro. They looked at the flame, it was very small. Hey, you're right, said Ash, I'm going to catch it. Ash tossed a Pokeball at the Charmander, it kicked the Pokeball away, hitting Ash in the head. You okay? Asked Luffy. Fine and dandy, said Ash. Both Pikachus went up to the Charmander. The Pokemon talked it out. What did it say? Asked Ash. Pikachu. Pika Pika, said Ash's Pikachu. Okay, said Ash, I got it. What did it say? Asked Nami. That it belongs to someone else and he's waiting for his trainer to come back. Said Ash. You got that from 2 words? Asked Nami with a sweat drop. Well, if it has a trainer and it's waiting, we should leave it alone, said Brock. The others nodded in agreement. After wandering around for a bit, they found the Pokemon Center. That's when it started to rain. Okay, from this point on you have to give me the map, said Nami. No, said Ash. Nami began to seethe. She wasn't happy. Ask Nurse Joy for a map, whispered Misty. Nami nodded. That was when they saw a guy many Pokeballs. Oh wow, that's a lot of Pokemon you have, Damien, said one guy, gushing over him. Are some of those empty? Asked another guy. What would make you accuse you of that? Asked Damien. It's just that you know the rules, said the person. I'm just going to ignore you, said Damien. Hey, didn't you used to have a Charmander? Asked another person. Yeah, but it was weak, so I left him out a rock. I told him that I would come when he kept following me, said Damien. That one thing made with Ash's group upset. What did you say? Asked Ash. What, you heard me, said Damien. We saw that Charmander and he's still waiting for you, yelled Luffy. Wow, that's really pathetic, said Damien. That's it. It's time for a Pokemon battle, yelled Ash. No, you're not, said Nurse Joy, getting between them. You're not having a Pokemon battle. But, said Ash. No, it's not right to drag Pokemon into a personal battle, said Nurse Joy. That was when Luffy got an idea. Handle it the pirate way. Is it okay if I talk with him out back? Asked Luffy. Nurse Joy nodded. Luffy dragged Damien by the collar and dragged him out back. What are you doing? They heard Damien yell. That was when they heard the screams and the poundings that Damien rightfully deserved. I'll get him a towel since it's raining, said Nurse Joy. She knew Damien. She didn't like him. She didn't know who Luffy was, but she liked that he didn't his Pokemon involved. Sometime later he returned and was wet from the rain. That felt good, said Luffy. Damien came in, broken and beaten. He didn't know what happened, but he didn't like it. I'm going to rest here, he said. That was when he just collapsed on the floor. Wow, that's a good lesson for the kids. That violence is the answer, said Nami sarcastically. What are you talking about? Asked Luffy. Never mind, said Nami. Later they were having dinner. Brock was still upset. Hey, what's wrong? Asked Ash. It's just that Charmander, I mean that guy Damien, said Brock. He got what he deserved, said Misty. He's still knocked out, said Ash. I don't think he's going to wake up anytime soon, said Luffy. With Damien, he was still barely conscious. Look at the pretty colors, he said. Back in the cafeteria, I know, but still, said Brock. That Charmander is going to leave that rock. That was when Nami slammed her face into the table. She wasn't contributing to the conversation but was rather looking over maps. What's wrong? Asked Brock. We've been going in the opposite direction of Vermilion City the whole time, said Nami, her voice muffled. We've been going north when we should have been going south. Nami pointed to the map. She pointed the location of where they were, where Vermilion City was and where Cerulean City was. They were north of Cerulean City, way north. It would take them about a week to get near Cerulean City, let alone Vermilion City. Nami got up. I'm taking a nap, she said. Everyone's sweat dropped. We've been going the wrong way, asked Ash. But it hasn't been any colder, said Luffy. Misty glared at the two, began to slink away. That night the storm began to get bad. Lightning woke up the 2 Pikachus. The Pikachus woke up their trainers in return. What's going on? Asked Ash. Pika, yelled Luffy's Pikachu. The 2 saw the storm, and they were shocked. Hey, wake up, yelled Ash. The others, wake up. What? Asked Nami, who was still very angry about getting lost, and she would have been able to prevent it. There's a storm outside, and, said Luffy. Trying to protect the Charmander, said Ash weakly. Take it out on them later, said Misty. Fine, said Nami, glaring at the 4 guys, but you will pay later, Zoro groaned while the 3 nodded. The group headed outside in the rain. They managed to find the Charmander, who was very sick and its tail was almost out. They got back to the Pokemon Center. What's going on? Asked Nurse Joy when they got back inside. Do you know where Damien is? Asked Luffy. He left hours ago after he regained full consciousness, said Nurse Joy. Why, is that the Pokemon he was talking about? The other nodded. You have to save it, said Brock. Don't worry, I will, said Nurse Joy. Nurse Joy took the Charmander into an operation room and began to treat it. As the night went on, the group waited, while Nami looked at the map, while discovering there was another gym on the way, but there appeared to be a route that was quick, easy, and would take them to Vermilion City without going close to Cerulean or the other city on the way, Saffron. After Nurse Joy gave the word that the Charmander was okay, Nami gave the other the route she discovered. There's 2 ways we can go about this. But we have to make a choice. We can go to Saffron City or we can go to Vermilion City, said Nami. Either way will be just long as the other. So which way? Said Misty. Since we're heading to Vermilion to begin with, we'll go that way, said Ash. Okay, said Nami, and now my half of the deal, none of you while I'm here can ever take the map away from me, ever. I think we can agree to that, said Misty. Okay, the next part, said Nami. If the next part has anything to with money then forget it, said Ash. Fine, sighed Nami. That was when Nurse Joy came into the lobby. The Charmander ran away, said Nurse Joy. Needless to say, the group was shocked. After discussing not to go after because of what Damien did, they decided restart their course for Vermilion City. The group was silent as they continued on the way. Well, expect for one, I don't like that guy any more than the rest of you, but if the Charmander refuses, said Zoro. That was when he was whacked on the head by a mallet. We will not talk about it, said Misty. Fine, muttered Zoro. That was when the ground gave way from below them. What the, said Luffy. Prepare for trouble, and make it double. That was when Luffy jumped out and used his arm as ladder for the others. Hey, yelled Team Rocket. They noticed what they wearing. Did you just escaped from a radioactive area? Asked Ash. No, all 3 of them yelled. These suits are made of rubber. I don't think we need to explain to with that idiot being made of rubber for some reason, said Jessie. A magic fruit gave me those powers, said Luffy. Sure, a magic fruit, said James. Come on, let's do this, yelled Meowth. Meowth shot something at the 2 Pikachus, trapping them in a balloon. That is that thing? Asked Ash. Just a rubber balloon, said Meowth. That was when Meowth shot something at the ground the group was standing on, sending them back into a pit, then covering it. All right, we win, cheered all 3 of them. Char, growled a certain Pokemon. That is when they saw Charmander. It had returned to them, knowing that they were the ones that helped him when it needed it. Oh, look, a Charmander. How cute, said Jessie. That was when the Charmander used flamethrower on the 3, burning everything off them and freeing the 2 Pikachus. At the same time, the cover was cut multiple times over thanks to Scyther. Now, said Ash. Use Thunderbolt, yelled both Ash and Luffy. That sent off the 3, blasting off again. Hey, Charmander, I've been looking all over for you, said a very familiar voice. They turned to see Damien, bandaged and bruised. What are you doing here? Asked Ash. I've been looking for Charmander, and that's it, lied Damien. Liar, yelled Luffy. Damien flinched. Fine, I abandoned it. It was a weak Pokemon, and now it's stronger, so. That was when Charmander burnt Damien, causing to pass out once again. I don't think Luffy's beating wasn't good for his health, said Misty. You want to come with us? Asked Ash. Charmander nodded. Ash looked at Luffy and Brock. Both of them deserved it more than he did. Brock was the most concerned, and Luffy, yeah. You should be the one to take him, said Brock. Yeah, I just wanted to beat up the guy, said Luffy. Ash smiled and took out a Pokeball, and caught it. I caught a Charmander, yelled Ash. And so Ash caught a Charmander, which meant he had 2/3 of the 3 Pokemon that he could have gotten from Pro Oak. Who knew, maybe he'd catch the 3rd. Ash was in a good mood. He had captured 2 Pokemon in his last 2 important events, and all was right in the world. That was when they all fell into a pit. Okay, what happened? Asked Ash. It must have been Team Rocket, said Zoro. That was when they saw a bunch of turtle-like Pokemon laugh at them. For some reason all of them were wearing sunglasses. Or those things, said Nami. Luffy took out his Pokédex. Squirtle, the tiny Pokemon. After birth, the back swells and hardens. Luffy, said Misty. Oh yeah, right, said Luffy. That was when he stretched out his arm and used him as a ladder. All right, yelled Ash. Pikachu, use Thundershock. Ash's Pikachu used the electric attack on one of the Squirtles, but another jumped in and took a hit. It would be noted for some reason the one that wasn't hit was wearing Ray-Bans rather than rounded sunglasses like the others. That one must be the leader, said Nami. The Squirtles ran away in fear as police sirens were heard. It was Officer Jenny, showed up riding on a motorcycle. Officer Jenny, asked Ash in shock. Do I know you? Asked Officer Jenny. You helped us in Viridian City, said Nami. Oh no, that was my cousin, said Officer Jenny. She then took out a picture. This is my family photo. Everyone stared at it in shock. Every woman in the picture was Officer Jenny, and they were identical. Wow, clones? Asked Luffy. No, said Officer Jenny. Twins? Asked Luffy. Occasionally, said Officer Jenny. A group that reproduces by converting people who know their terrible secret? Asked Luffy. I think you watch too much TV, said Officer Jenny with a sweat drop. So, what was up with those things? Asked Zoro. They're called the Squirtle Squad. They're Pokemon that were abandoned by their trainers, said Officer Jenny. They banded together and started causing trouble. Stealing food, tagging walls and stealing everyone's left shoes. Have you tried pushing them on their backs then grabbing them? Asked Nami. There was an awkward silence. I never thought of that, said Officer Jenny. Everyone's sweat dropped. Little did they know that Team Rocket was making an alliance with the Squirtle Squad, a really bad alliance. Everyone decided to take a break from their travels, while Misty fished. I'm hungry, whined Luffy. We already had lunch, pointed out Nami. I know, I'm still hungry, whined Luffy. That was when she got a tug and reeled it in. It was one of the Squirtle Squad member. Why you? Yelled Misty. The Squirtle used water gun on them, soaking them. All right. Pikachu used Thundershock, said Luffy. The electric attack however hit them all, frying the other 5 with Luffy still being immune. The Squirtle while confused why he was okay. That was when Ash got up and shook his head. All right Luffy, let me handle this, yelled Ash. However, to say it ended badly would be an understatement. Pikachu landed in the river during the fight and got injured with Horn Goldine's horn. Before anyone could do anything, the group found themselves tied up by lassos. However, that was nothing, really. The Squirtle's sweat dropped when Zoro managed to cut the ropes especially. Ash managed to get his Pikachu from the water. It's hurt really badly, said Brock. We have to go to the Pokemon Center, said Misty. That was when a giant cage suddenly covered them. What the? Said Ash. That was when Meowth suddenly came out. I should have known that Plan B would be the better plan, said Meowth. This cage is both super strong and electric proof. Luffy's Pikachu tested it to see if it was true. Sometime later they were still in the cage in a cave. Meowth and the Squirtle Squad were holding them captive. However, the 6 were focused on Ash's Pikachu. We need some super potion, said Brock. That should help. If he doesn't, said Nami. Can you please help me out, said Ash. The Squirtles glared at Ash. Please, my Pikachu needs help, said Ash. If he doesn't get super potion. Ash began to cry. Please help me. The Squirtle Squad began to talk. Squirt, Squirtle, said the leader. All right, he says you can go. But you have to be back tomorrow at noon or else the younger redhead gets her hair dyed purple, said Meowth. What? Yelled Misty. I don't want to have my hair purple. Misty, you know that hair dyes evilly fade, right? Asked Nami. Well, said Misty. You know you'd probably have a better threat if you said you would kill her, said Zoro. You're not helping, yelled Misty. They let Ash out of the cage and he ran out. He's not coming back until after he's supposed to come back, isn't he? Asked Misty with her sweat drop. Luffy laid down. I'm hungry, he whined. This of course caused everyone to sweat drop. Wait, I have an idea, said Brock. He sat down next to Luffy and whispered something. The next day, way past noon, Ash finally arrived, to find they were fine and Misty's hair was still orange. Not only that, it was a bluff, said Misty. They didn't have purple dye anyways, said Luffy. Wait, why did they let you go? Asked Ash. Everyone looked at Luffy. All but Meowth and the leader aren't doing so well, laughed Luffy. They demanded I be let go. Brock, who was holding his Pikachu, took the super potion and sprayed Pikachu with it. What took you so long anyway? Asked Misty. When I got to the store, someone opening the door knocked me out, explained Ash. Everyone stared at him like he grew a second head. That's plausible, said Misty. That was when the 4 Squirtles showed up and began to ask questions to Ash for some reason. What are they saying? Asked Ash. If I were to guess, it has something to with food, said Nami. They all looked at Luffy and Brock. What happened? Asked Ash. Don't ask, said Nami. We're lucky we didn't go crazy too, muttered Zoro. Was it him asking for food enough times so that they'd go insane? Asked Ash. Maybe, said Luffy. Meowth and the leader Squirtle came out looking exhausted. That was when there were many explosions. During the explosions, Meowth took advantage of what was happening and took Ash's Pikachu. Prepare for trouble, and make it double, to protect the world from deviation, to untie the all peoples in our nation. To denounce the evils of truth and love, to extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse, James, Team Rocket, blasting off at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepare to fight. Meowth. That's right. You're betraying them, aren't you? Asked Nami. That's right, said Jesse. What took so long? Asked Meowth. It's a long story, said James. While you waiting, I had to listen to him constantly go on and on about how hungry he was. That guy's insane, yelled Meowth. Let's just get what we want, yelled Jesse. That was when they launched many bombs into the cave, yelled Ash. The group and the Squirtles ran back into the cave. Ash noticed the lead Squirtle had fell onto his back. He ran over to rescue him. Inside the cave, does anyone else feel like anything we aren't doing much? Asked Luffy. Yeah, a little, said Misty with a sweat drop. They heard that the explosions had claimed down, they left the cave to find the entire area was on fire. Ash gave the Squirtles the idea to put out the fire before it could destroy the town. And so because of that the Squirtles were now the heroes of the town and became the town's firefighters. And so since they really shouldn't stay in the town for too long, and Nami was pretty upset about getting lost last time, they went on their way. However, as they left town, they noticed someone was following them, the leader of the Squirtle Squad. I wonder why it's following us, said Zoro. Ash turned towards it and said, you want to join us? The Squirtle took off his sunglasses, ran towards Ash and hugged him. The other 5 realized they must have missed something the cave but didn't say anything. All right, I caught a Squirtle, cheered Ash. You didn't catch it, they yelled. And so Ash caught another Pokemon. Little did he know that the next Pokemon he would catch would lead to an event that would let everyone question, how many Pokemon are there in the world? Ash was upset with everyone but Luffy. They just had to mention that he wasn't good at catching Pokemon, that he only earned his badges not by winning but by something else. Of course he ran off vowing to catch more Pokemon. Of course Luffy went to chase after him. Hey, Ash, called out Luffy. Chim, he heard a voice call out. Luffy turned around and saw a strange monkey-like Pokemon. Oh wow, it's a monkey, said Luffy. He took out his Pokédex and scanned. No available data, said the Pokédex. Oh wow, said Luffy. Luffy threw out a Pokeball. The light began to flash but the strange fire monkey was caught. All right, I caught a fire monkey, cheered Luffy. That was when he remembered he was supposed to be looking for Ash. Luffy got to the beach and saw Ash looking confused at something. What's going on? Asked Luffy. I just caught a Krabby and it disappeared, cried Ash. What? Asked Luffy. That was when the rest of the group got there. What's going on? Asked Misty. Ash once again explained what happened. Oh, that's because it was sent to the person that gave you your Pokédex, explained Misty. You mean Pro Oak? Asked Ash. Ash had a daydream about Pro Oak wanting to eat his new Pokemon. I have a bad feeling about that, he said. If you want to switch out your Pokemon, there's a button in the Pokédex, said Misty. But I don't want to switch anything out, answered Ash. Why don't you call him? Asked Nami. I need to call him too, said Luffy. Why? Asked Nami. I caught this weird monkey Pokemon and I don't know what it is, said Luffy. Did you try using your Pokédex? Asked Nami. It didn't know anything, said Luffy. Oh really, can I see? Asked Brock. Luffy let it out and everyone stared at the Pokemon. Chim? Asked the Pokemon. What is it? Asked Misty. I have no idea, said Brock. Return, said Luffy. We should go find a phone to call him, said Misty with a sweat drop. What about that lighthouse? Asked Brock. I hope there's someone there, said Nami. And we can say that night, cheered Misty. They headed to the lighthouse in the distance, which took them about an hour. Why did that take so long? Yelled Misty. They looked at the lighthouse, which was rather creepy looking. What's up with this place? Asked Nami. I don't know, said Ash. However, Luffy rang the doorbell. Don't ring the doorbell, yelled Misty. Hello, piped up a voice from the intercom who sounded friendly. Hi. We were wondering if we could use your phone, spend the night and maybe use your kitchen, said Ash. Don't put it like that, yelled Nami. Can you make something without tofu in it? Asked the voice. Yes, I can make a lot things without tofu, said Brock. Good, because my cook is on vacation and I've been eating nothing but tofu, said the voice. The doors suddenly opened but found the whole room empty. Hi, said Ash. If you want to use the phone, it's over there, said the voice. They saw the phone was shaped like a yellow flower Pokemon. Cool phone, said Misty. Ash decided to call Pro Oak, who was cooking his dinner. What are you doing? Asked Ash. Oh hello Ash. said Pro Oak. I'm just making tofu, my cook is out of town and your mom is busy. What are that last part? Asked Ash. Nothing, said Pro Oak. I was wondering about my Krabby, said Ash. Don't worry, it's safe, said Pro Oak. He moved his camera to show Ash's Krabby, which was, well, a crab-like Pokemon. It's not as big as Gary's, said Pro Oak, moving to Gary's, which was bigger. Oh man, sighed Ash. Hey, Pro Oak, said Luffy, there's a Pokemon I need to show you. What? Asked Pro Oak. Luffy once again let out the Pokemon. Pro Oak blinked. I've seen that Pokemon before, but I need a double check, said Pro Oak. Why don't you call back tomorrow and I'll tell you? Okay, said Luffy. The two Pikachus began to talk with the unknown Pokemon, who seemed very friendly. By the way, where are you? Asked Pro Oak. We're in an old lighthouse, said Misty. Oh, you must be at Bill's place, said Pro Oka. Hey, Bill. Oh, hello, Professor, said the voice named Bill. He's young, but he is an up-and-coming researcher, said Pro Oak. Thank you, Professor, said Bill. Well, I got to go, dinner's almost ready, said Pro Oak. Pro Oak hung up. Why did he bring up your mom? Asked Brock. I don't know, said Ash. That was when the lights were turned on and they saw a strange beetle-like Pokemon. Hello, I am Bill, said the Pokemon. It's a Kabuto, yelled Brock. That Pokemon is extinct, yelled Misty. Wait, this is a costume, yelled Bill. There's a button, right there, can you push it? Nami went over to it and pushed the button, revealing a young man dressed rather nicely. Thank you, I've been in there for hours, said Bill. Then why did you design the costume to be opened by a button when you knew you couldn't press it? Asked Nami. It was just a design flaw, laughed Bill. That was when he saw the Pokemon Luffy caught. What's this? Asked Bill. I've never seen a Pokemon like this. Chimchar, muttered the Pokemon, who seemed to be tired of everyone saying that. I caught it not too far away, said Luffy. I wonder, said Bill. Wonder what? Asked Nami. See, I've been studying an unknown Pokemon for a while now, said Bill, and I wonder if they could be related. Really? Asked Ash. Can we see? Asked Luffy. Of course, said Bill. Not interested, muttered Zoro. He went over to a nearby pillar and fell asleep. Is that normal? He asked. For him, answered Misty. He led the five who were interested up to the top of the lighthouse and began to play the sound. This is the sound of a Pokemon I heard one day, said Bill. It sounds sad, said Luffy. I believe it's looking for others of its kind, said Bill. That was when several large whale-like Pokemon surfaced. Are they those things? Asked Luffy. No, those are not the one, said Bill. Those are, what are those? Luffy checked it with his Pokédex. No available data, said the Pokédex. Bill shook off his confusion. Anyways, I sent a message similar to it, said Bill. That was when a very round owl-like Pokemon soundly flew up onto the railing. It started to stand on the railing with one leg. Ash took out his Pokédex. No available data, said the Pokédex. Is this the one? Asked Ash. Hoot, said the Pokemon. No, it's not, said Bill. He coughed. He began to play a similar message. This message says I am here. That was when what appeared to be a swarm of purple balloon-like Pokemon. Both Ash and Luffy took out their Pokédexes. No available data, said the Pokédexes. This is a strange day, said Nami. I know, said Brock. That was when a blue duck-like Pokemon flew over to the owl and seemed to be getting into a fight with it. Oh, it's cute, said Misty. No available data, said Ash's Pokédex. Bill decided to pinch himself. It wasn't a dream. All these Pokemon really were appearing. That was when he heard the sound. They looked out to the water and saw it. It looked like a giant dragon. It gave out a sorrowful noise that made the two birds stop fighting. Oh wow, said Nami. It's so pretty, said Misty. I found it, I finally found it, cried Bill. However, Luffy's Pokédex was still open. Dragonite, the dragon Pokemon, beeped the Pokédex. The giant Pokemon, which was indeed a Dragonite, gave its cry. Bill turned white as sheet. All these months he's been studying a giant Dragonite. Sure, it was giant, but it's still known. Are you okay? Asked Ash. I'm fine. I just need to sit down, said Bill. Way to go, Luffy, you broke him, yelled Nami, hitting him. Ow, yelled Luffy. That was when they heard explosion below the cliff. Luffy looked down and saw it was Team Rocket shooting at the giant Dragonite. Gum gum pistol, shouted Luffy. Punch the three of the cliff. Team Rockets, however, since they fell into the ocean they couldn't finish it. The next day, Bill refused to leave the room, even for the two bird-like Pokemon who seemed concerned. Come on, Bill, it's going to be fine, said Nami. Don't you want to study these too? Said Misty. Elsewhere, Luffy was on the phone with Pro Oak. Okay, admit it, those Pokemon were so rare in the area that I didn't put it on the Pokédex. Sighed Pro Oak. Seriously? Asked Ash. I'm sorry, said Pro Oak. It's just that the Pokédex has so much memory that I only put in the common 150 Pokemon of the Kanto region. So then the whole 150 Pokemon, said Ash. Just a myth, sighed Pro Oak. I'm going to work on a new Pokédex that can fit in all Pokemon. How many known Pokemon are there? Asked Luffy. Don't ask, said Pro Oak. By the way, the Pokemon you caught is a Chimchar, it's used as the starter in the Sinnoh region. Oh wow, said Luffy. They upped the phone, while Misty grabbed Luffy's ear. Stupid rubber man, muttered Misty, going back to grab his body. And so Luffy explained the myth of the 150 Pokemon and that Pro Oak are going to create a new Pokédex to stop the myth of the Kanto region, and so they headed to Vermilion City, on the right way this time. Hopefully they will get there soon, because they were seriously lost. Thank you for watching. What If Luffy Was a Pokemon Trainer Part 2. Please subscribe, like and share Roronoa TV for more fanfiction crossover videos.